And do you have a sense of the amount of materials you used?
Yeah, I wrote it down earlier. Ha!
But I used about 4 of these things, and I pretty much used them all up. So I had tons and tons of this stuff. And I used about 6 yards of it on the dress.
But I would say anywhere between 30 and 40 bottles.
Yeah, I think I calculated at 80 plus coffee bags.
Wow. All right, hold on a second. Okay. If someone gave you the challenge to make a wearable outfit, but you can't use anything new, it has to be recycled or trash or something that you found in your home, what would you make? How would you go about it? These designers took on that challenge. They said, okay, let's do this. We're gonna make something completely brand new and make it wearable and make it fashionable. Yeah, kind of crazy, right? So right now, you caught us in the middle of our design review meetings where we get to see what they have made for the past couple of months. We write a description so that we can describe it the best way as it walks down the catwalk. But before we move on, I think we need to go back in time. We asked a few of our designers to actually do this video diary journaling so we can watch their full experience from inspiration to creation and get a sense of what is it actually like, and hopefully demystify, possibly inspire, and then maybe, who knows, challenge you to do the same. Actually, let's go back in time. Let's go back to January of this year, when some of our designers started doing their video diaries.
My name is Amanda Alborn, and I'm actually returning artist this year. Last year was my first year that I participated in it. As you can see right behind me is actually my outfit that I submitted last year. I really like the whole concept of the trash and fashion events, like recycle, reuse, repurpose. I actually make jewelry out of recycled materials, so it's right up my alley.
I'm Eve DeLay, and
I'm Logan DeLay.
We've been part of Upcycle Alameda, where we make stuff from used clothing and stuff I found on the street and washed, and donations from folks, and we have a community of people who are into doing that. Logan saw a sign for the Trash and Fashion Show a bunch of years ago, and we went to it, and we were really excited to go, and they gave us a fascinator made out of trash, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. I really want to do that. Can I volunteer to do that? And so we volunteered making Trashionators for a few years, and they were like, Eve, you have great trash. You should make something. And I'm like, I just don't know how I could do that, but I tried. And so that was my first entry, was the Dim Sum Delight. And then I got Logan interested in it.
Yeah, we've made 2 costumes together since then, including last year with the stuffy costume. So this year, when we heard about it happening in April, we were a little shocked and dismayed. But somehow we just can't stay away.
Yeah.
So we're back.
We love making stuff.
My first introduction with Trashion was my husband actually drove past a window display and saw a dress and was like, this is so you. And you have to look into this. And so I did. And here I am, 4 shows later, still here.
Hi there, Trashion Fashion Sonoma. This is Justine Filippello. My last outfit is over here. Pandemic Plastic Punk, I believe is the title. Made out of plastic. I really am looking forward to being involved again. Haven't really gotten too far on my outfit going to stray from this idea. Pretty excited to immerse myself in some more art. Have been lacking the motivation to do artwork, being that I am an essential worker and have been quite busy with work and moving and a whole bunch of stuff like that.
I'm Margaret Hatcher. I started the Trashion Fashion Show at the Sonoma Community Center 11 years ago. I thought it would be fun to have a fashion show, and I'm amazed that it continues after all this time. I've been involved ever since, and now I'm really happy just to be a participant. I work here at home in my studio, and I'm very excited to get started on my spring 2021 Trashion fashion outfit.
My name is Julia Poske. In 2018 Trashion Fashion, I worked on a geyser gown filled with 500 water bottles covered with dental floss on a spaghetti strap white dress. In 2019, I did the planetarium gown with black fabric covered over the Peach Mates bride dress filled with galaxies, stars, supernovas. In 2020, which is last year, I worked on a Heart of the Ocean dress from Moana. I am at my studio right now. I did all of these paintings in the past years.
Wow.
When someone buys it at pnzcreations.com, they make money for it.
Hi, my name is Rob Stickley. I am an artist here in Sonoma. Have lived in the town for about 32 years now. And how do you start your process, or where do you get your inspiration from? I think it all comes from many places all around me. Making a Trashion fashion costume for me is like a three-dimensional collage, and I approach it like that. I have all this material that normally wouldn't go together, and I try to make it work as a three-dimensional collage. And so the process is slow and there's lots of mistakes, but you know, there's lots of serendipity. Things just happen by accident along the way, and the costume takes on its own life, and I kind of just follow where it's going a lot of times.
I went to fashion school at the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and I graduated in 1979. I'm 69 years old, so you can guess how long ago that was. Trashion gives me, kind of makes me relive some of my creative time in my life. I've been collecting this stuff. I've had some of this stuff for a few years, and some is recent. I have tons and tons and tons of this stuff. It was some packing paper that was around some lanterns that I ordered for my floral business. So I'm just not completely sure what to do with it. I mean, do I go fluffy puffy up in empire waist? Do I do poofy down here? Do I stretch it? I'm just not sure exactly what to do. So I want to use these, and I'm not sure, you know, if these are going to be a bodice, if they're going to be a jacket, if they could be a tight skirt. They're kind of stiff, so I'm not sure how they're going to work, but I got tons of these too to work with. And of course, I have me. She's exactly my size and everything, all, you know, exactly my same size, so I can just work on her and do draping and fitting and make sure it works like that. At this point, I think the main thing is I'm just kind of nervous about what I'm going to make and how I'm going to use these materials, and I'm still trolling for ideas. So that's, you know, I mean, basically where I'm at right now.
I actually work at Pete's Coffee and Tea, so I actually have access to a lot of materials that way, so that's actually what I'm going to be using, like the piece I did last year. I learned a lot from last year and some of my mistakes, and so I'm gonna kind of go from there. So I kind of have an idea of what I really want to do. I'm gonna make my whole outfit out of coffee bags. I have lots of this red color and some of these orange. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to happen, but I have an idea of having the top all solid one color and then the bottom fading into another. So like kind of like a phoenix, because I was thinking red on orange, but we will see how it turns out. But this time, like last time, I really didn't have a base to go off of. I kind of just made it straight from the coffee bags, and so it's very stiff, very hard to move in top wise. And so that's why this time around I'm thinking I'm gonna take some sort of material like muslin or something I have laying around extra and use it as a form and then attach the coffee bags, and also smaller pieces, much smaller pieces, be easier to manipulate for sure. So I was thinking is actually cutting out little triangles out of the coffee bags and then sewing them down onto the fabric like so, and kind of making my own material from there and then making the outfit from that. So we will see how that turns out, but that is my rough idea of what I want to do. As for the rest of the outfit, accessories and stuff, I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. It's definitely difficult, but it's also fun at the same time because you never know how it's gonna turn out.
What inspires me is music. So this year, what inspired me was the song Blondie, hence the hair, the makeup. I've been working with glass for the last 2 years, trying to do it in our fire pit, trying to make glass somehow workable without it shattering and becoming a hot mess. I have discovered after 2 years a microwave kiln, which has helped me bring my vision to life. Also, my husband's love of hot rods has also creeped its way into this year's design. He loves hot rods. The older, the better. So this year, he finally passed me his box of hot rod wires that can't actually be used. They're too short, or they're wrong, or he's just holding on to them as memories. And so this year, my dress, Blondie, Heart of Glass, and will be glass and stripped hot rod wires. People have been so supportive. My family and friends have washed out their bottles, sanitized them, and dropped off in front of our gate box loads of everything that they've been drinking. If you're going to throw it away, call me first. There's so many glass objects that we just throw away and we don't look at. We go, it's recyclable, but it also can be turned into art. And my goal this year for me is to challenge myself, I know a lot of Trashion outfits love to make their outfits look like the trash they saved. I, on year 4, want to turn trash into something someone would pay to wear. I am trying to up my game and to make trash fashionable. And that's my goal this year.
This last year, like so many people, I was at home and I spent a lot of time in my garden, and I found that I was buying lots of potting soil, soil amendments, soil conditioner, and I started collecting these bags. They're colorful, they're large, you can't recycle them. So I ended up with a pile of them, and then when Trashion comes along, I think, yeah, I'll make something out of them. So I've collected my materials here. I'm inspired by historical costumes. So if I'm looking for an idea, I go to books in my library. So this is my concept for my costume. It's going to be a 50s garden dress reflecting the garden theme. So big skirt, big hat, These are going to all be flowers. I stole the idea right here from a 50s dress. And I liked the idea of a sun hat that ties on. So a simple enough design, but covered with plastic bag flowers. I find that I'm inspired by materials, the color, how they can be manipulated, and so I collect them. This is stuff that I've collected over quite a bit of time. These are twist ties from organic vegetables in the grocery store, coffee cup lids, the netting from fruit, and let's see, bottle caps, deer netting, and here I have a lampshade that I've cut down that I will probably use as my hat.
At this point, we don't have like a specific design in mind, but we have a process. We kind of looked around at all of our trash, and we have a lot because we've collected it over the years, but nothing was really inspiring us. And usually
we're inspired by, we have like plastic bags, a ton of them, or we came upon all these Barbies through a dear friend who passed away, and so usually there's something like that was our inspiration. And this year, like, the stuff wasn't doing it.
Yeah, but we decided, well, we've been doing a lot of patchwork. We're working with little scraps of cloth lately, and
Logan did this amazing scratch
I'm kind of
pose.
excited about that process, and why not stay with that process? So that's the plan for this year. We're just starting with the process, and we're going to start piecing together little scraps of fabric that we've gotten from discarded garments, and those little trimmings that people left behind after a upcycling event, and we'll see what develops.
Yeah, I'm very excited because a lot of times we would get into the trash and fashion thing and we'd love it, but it would like put on hold all those other sewing projects and things we were doing. And so the idea that Logan had, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to put my interest on hold. I can try cutting up clothes and putting them together, which has terrified me, and just do it, go for it. So yeah.
How are you feeling? Still a little worried about the April deadline, but
oh yeah, that was not a lot of notice this year.
We'll see how covered we are.
Yeah, last year we
could always go for the bikini.
Oh God, yeah, not me. This is just going to be for the fun.
Yep.
And the learning.
My idea for this outfit this year is really to not use the materials I've been using. I am excited to work with materials that are really easier to work with. Plastic is really difficult to sew into. I'm still going to do hand sewing, so I've been collecting my floss. As you know, I use in my creations. Probably this is a mattress cover. It's not quality at this point. It's been used for years. I thought it would be a perfect material to drape onto and create the form and sew that together. And then my other idea is I have reusable totes. I have a bag of these reusable totes, which is basically a material. I've also gone through my clothes, and I have stuff I would be donating to the thrift store that I may do some sort of patchwork, kind of a crazy quilt on a draped mattress cover. I have been collecting more onion bags because I can't get away from that. It's a fun mesh, kind of lace-like material. And then I have these crazy styrofoam forms that I'm kind of obsessed with, trying to figure out how to do something, whether it be a shoulder pad or some sort of hip thing. I'm not sure. I feel like time is going to be of the concern for me. I'm excited about the process and doing all this and using the materials and being involved again. So thanks so much.
I think I have a little bit of an idea about where I'm going to go this year, basically because it's hot on the heels of last year's costume, and so I'm still moving in this historical kind of mode. I've made some preliminary sketches of what the beginnings of something are. The unusual thing about this year is that I'm not actually going to be wearing this dress. I have a model. Normally I am the model and the designer, but this year I'm going to be able to walk around it as I'm making it and as I'm wearing it, and it's being modeled before it actually gets to the catwalk, and I can see how it's moving, whereas before I was encased in the costume and really couldn't see behind my back and see how things were moving and vibrating and where there were problems so much. Because it's so close to the last show and we've been locked down, I haven't really been able to go out and source materials in my usual way, which would be working as a contractor on these building sites and going through the dumpster and finding stuff. So I still have a few things left over from things that I've collected in the past, and I'm hopefully going to use as much of that as I can. So I'm feeling pretty good about starting this project. I always do. I'm excited about getting into it. The materials, hopefully they will come together as I go along, and I'll change direction accordingly. And I am deconstructing some of the material that I am going to use to make the framework of this big dress. And I'm cutting these ladders out of this old recycled fencing, garden fencing. Once again, it won't be seen, but I can work out the size and a little bit of math involved because I want to evenly space these. So I believe I need 26 of these ladders to go around that hoop and up to the smaller hoop to make the big skirt for this costume.
Tell me where you got all these old calendars.
I got these old calendars in the past years from the bottom drawer of the dresser at my studio.
So you've been saving them up for a long time?
Yes.
Wow, that's a nice coincidence.
Thank you.
All about creative sustainability awareness. So let's check in and see the progress of our designers and how they're doing.
Okay, here we are. I think it's week 4 in preparation for the Trashion Fashion Show. I've cleaned all my soil bags and I've cut them up according to color and kind of so I know what my palette is. I've made millions of flowers. It's been flower making central here in preparation to cover my skirt. The design of the flower has really been dictated by the bags themselves. How many yellow ones do I have? How many orange are there for the centers? These bags have this great little red strip on them, so I've utilized that to make these kind of cheerful little sunflower types. I've got my lampshade cut down, so I'm just using the metal hoop to support the hat. And I've got the deer netting glued on. I can see that the skirt is going to be massive and very design heavy with all these flowers, a lot of interest. So my goal is to make the hat equally interesting. I'm fusing plastic together, some of the green parts of the bags, fusing it together and cutting them into leaf shapes. And the next thing I'm working on is the bodice. I'm going to cover it with words. I want it to kind of say what this is made out of. These are soil conditioning bags, fertilizer. I want to make that very clear in the design. I like the idea of not having to glue it on the fabric. So it'll be woven in here, and I'll play around with the colors. I think there'll be a lot of black, but probably some colors. So I'm working on what words. So there's a little bit of weaving in and out, and it's kind of fun to do. And then that will be basted onto the dress.
Hi, well, progress. I have built the armature out of the ladders that I was making from the fence and the hoops. And then I have papier-mâché with brown paper bags and tape, the bodice. I'm using an old business card of mine from many years ago with a piece of art that I did, and it has the wrong phone number on and everything, and I'm no longer the artist in residence. And I have used these guys like that to make the pattern on the arm of the dress. And then I have used, I had 2 napkins that I got from a thrift store. There was only 2. That's why they were in a thrift store, I guess. And I cut them in half. I've had lots of problems. I have had problems. My original idea for the arms, I wanted to do the arms first. I thought that was going to be the most complicated for me because it involved sewing. And I made all of these things, a bunch of these things that I was going to use around here, and it just isn't going to work. But it involves too much sewing, and it's very intricate, and I can build things, but I can't really sew. So I've had an issue with these, but I will use this fabric. I have panels that I'm working on for the dress. I haven't started working on them. I have the shape of them, but I haven't started making them yet. So there's a long way to go.
This is where I'm at, which is quite different than what I kind of began with my thoughts on the project. I was thinking initially to do some patchwork stuff. That's sort of been, I've toned that down. This is the mattress pad. I just folded it in half and pinned down the side, then ended up sewing down the side. The mattress pad had elastic on the 4 corners to hold it onto the mattress, and that's what I have as my straps. So it's like a jumper. Everything's getting sewn together with floss. This is a flannel. I have a shirt under here. I'm gonna sew the arms of this flannel onto the shirt. That's gonna be the undershirt. It does have a onion bag collar. Really wanted to keep this show this. I've had some people explain to me that they wanted to see the mattress cover because the way I've done it, it just looks pretty wearable. It looks pretty much like a dress that a person would wear regardless, but I've decided to make it a little bit more punk and fun, and it's been a lot easier this year than last year with my plastic. The sewing it just takes less time. Creating it was really a breeze. I got off video that time and then literally put together the shape of the dress within the next 20 minutes after finishing my initial video diary. Yeah, like I said, everything's pinned, so it needs to be sewn together, which will take some time. But pretty much the whole the look is there.
My process on my design is coming along. I got most of the skirt completed with the folded counters. This part was difficult to sew or tack down. I'm feeling confident about the top and accessories done. I'm excited about this show and my design for this year. I really like designing fashion outfits because I got to work with many different materials, and it's good to recycle things that we normally throw away. I'm feeling good about meeting the timeline to be completed by the beginning of March. The techniques I have used include creating an undergarment hoop using mini blinds woven through the ladder cord, folding counter pages into a fan fold, use of hold points to create hoops to thread, and reuse mini blind cord, sewing the strong counter pages onto the tackered skirt, playing with smaller fan folds to make rosettes for the various parts.
We're patching things together, so we're mostly just cutting, sewing. I'm going to be sewing this with a zigzag stitch for some stretch.
So one of the other things we were planning to do, in addition to patching bits together, was maybe taking apart different items of clothing and sections of them and reassembling them. And so one of the things I was exploring was this child's leggings that were just barely fit on me, but they need to fit a little better. And so I cut off under the crotch, the bottom, and then for some other used like exercise clothing, I cut off the bottom part of that, and then I turned I think it was good side to good side, and stuck them inside like a tube, and did a zigzag stitch on that. And so that's what that looks like on that side. And then I was exploring changing the shape down here, so I might have like another section of solid, which Logan had suggested. And then I thought, oh yeah, and then the patchwork underneath it. So that's a possibility. And I'm trying out some stuff in fits and starts, and enjoying lots of all our stuff being out, and trying to remember, yes, it can be fun. This is what it's about. It's supposed to be fun. And I sort of had this sort of idea with something I was working on, and now I'm rethinking that, because everybody's like, use that coat that you already worked on all year long, and I'm like, yeah, I suppose that would be a good idea, but it's a certain form, so whatever comes out of it needs to be kind of different form than what I was doing, and so at moments I had like my teary side, I don't know what to do. And so I made my mantra. So I'm in a clown class, and she says, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's okay. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's okay.
Yeah, we have a very different process, so we're hitting those like, oh, but your process is so different from mine. So mine's more like I'm just putting stuff together and seeing what happens. And I also have a very low bar, because I'm only planning to just like a shirt and a pair of pants. That's all I got to do. Something to cover my body, and I'm getting there.
He's so good at anything he does, and he's totally fearless about just going in there and trying stuff, and that's my wish.
One surprise was that I actually found myself being drawn to using some of the text on t-shirts which is the part that I usually would just throw away. And I don't usually like actually having writing around me in the environment, but I thought, well, if I just put a whole bunch of it together, it could be interesting. So I'm working on that right now. And
It's super cool.
I've got enough patchwork to cover myself if need be. The bathing suit is ready.
I'd like to see that.
So as you can see, I have made some progress on my outfit since we last talked about it. So originally, I was gonna do little triangles cut out of the coffee bag, solid triangles. But when I laid it out, it kind of had more of a blocky texture to it. And a friend of mine actually suggested that I do a weaving technique. And I actually took them on that suggestion and tried to do that with the coffee bags. So basically what I'm doing is taking the coffee bags here, cutting them into strips, lots and lots of strips, and weaving them, and then making these little woven triangles with multiple colors on them to get this effect. It's taken me a lot longer than I thought to get to this stage, because when I was doing this section, trying to figure out where to actually fade into the different colors and lay it all out, it's a lot more time consuming because I am cutting each triangle out from these sheets, and then I'm sewing them all onto this skirt with my sewing machine. And I realized that each coffee bag makes about 18 triangles, and so far on my outfit on one panel I have used about 130 triangles. It's eventually going to fade down to this orange color down here, so it's like giving an ombre effect type thing, more like a phoenix rising from the ashes is what the concept was that I was trying to go for. And also I really like how this is turning out, because unless you knew this was coffee bags, you would never tell, which is, I really like that, because part of Trashion fashion is manipulating the materials in a way that it makes people really think, what is that material? You're using it in a different way that people wouldn't expect, because a lot of people would think, oh, just take the coffee bag, you know, use it as is, as a big material. But I'm manipulating it in such a way where I'm using the material, but in a different way. I really like how it's bending and folding and everything. As for what I still have to do, I still have to figure out how to do a top and tie it back into all this. I have a rough idea.
I'm not doing real well. I am much farther behind than I thought I would be, so I'm feeling not so confident about getting it done. So I don't have a creative block though at this point. What I did was I was looking for ideas from friends. I went out on Facebook and ran some of my former stuff past them with photos but most of my stuff was pretty simple, more ready to wear. And I put out the idea of a big poofy Lady Gaga dress. And people really thought, oh, I should do that. So I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. So rather than working from a sketch, I went out, looked for some Lady Gaga stuff. And this one is my inspiration here, this gown. Of course, mine is not going to be exactly like this Gaga gown, but it's my starting point and my idea that I'm starting from with this gown. And with the crinkle paper, I'm going to work it so that it's floor length. I'm going to work it all the way down, and that's what's been kind of tough going. So as I work along, I go in here and I pin on the crinkle where I want it, and then I just keep working my way down with that. And the technique with this crinkle paper on my machine is that you've got to use a long stitch. So I've got it at the longest stitch possible because this crinkle paper would just tear up if you don't use a really long stitch. You know, hopefully it's going to work out okay. Then I don't know exactly how I'm going to do the bodice. I do know that this, as I said before, is my material, and I definitely want a fitted bodice. And I think I want to do some sort of a peplum thing down here, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet, because I want it to fan out over the skirt. And then the last step is going to be the sleeves, which I showed you before. We've got these sleeves, which aren't really sleeves. They're just kind of going to have to like tack them on or use a snap. And so then I'm going to go back in and just try to work creating a poofy sleeve like this that I can just, that with the shoulder exposed like that. And probably doing some silver here and some silver there. And so of course it's not halfway completed, it's nowhere near completed, so I've got to really hustle. And then the last thing, I will be doing one of these around the neck, up in here, you know, up around the neck too. Okay, so that's it for me right now, and I got to get back to work because I'm really far behind. Okay, bye.
So this is basically how I made the flowers. I glue it together like that. Once that's glued together, I marked a line carefully across. So based on where that line is, I just cut through all of those so that it looks like this.
Just looking at trash in a different way. It makes you think about the impact that trash has so that you can minimize your footprint.
And, important to cut the other side so that it bends nicely around the curve.
That's really important too, just to get the conversation started.
And then I stick it on the coffee cup like this. And sort of take my time and, you know, edging it around.
Just to try and problem solve with all this junk that people are throwing out.
On the outside, I glue another layer.
Obviously, for bringing consumption, use, and trash into the minds of everyone.
And then they end up looking like this.
How is my dress going? My dress is going a lot slower than I anticipated, but that's only because I have challenged myself with working with a material that I'm not used to working with. Some of the challenges that I've faced so far have been, again, learning. Microwave kiln is beautiful and amazing, and you can fuse glass anywhere from 8 to 20 minutes in your microwave. But I've also learned that even if you let it cool for 4 hours and then set your oven mitts on top of it and go to bed, your family's still gonna wake up to the smell of fire in the house. And thankfully, my husband is a volunteer firefighter at the Kenwood Fire Department because he found it very quickly, brought it outside and put it out. I have had to rework my design based on weight, not my weight, but the weight of the dress. I thought, oh, a bunch of small pieces, what's the problem? But the dress that I got from the thrift store, it's made of spandex, and it just keeps going lower and lower and lower. So I have had to rework my design a little bit and trying to design a neck piece to help support the dress so that we keep the dress appropriate for all ages. it's definitely been a challenge, a very slow process. But I think overall I'm excited, and I'm actually proud of the twists and turns that the dress has taken, because it's not what I originally envisioned, but I think a little bit better.
Hello again. So I have covered up the armature that I built with fencing, and now I have made these panels from discarded paper and cardboard and paper bags and so forth, and I've worked out the proportions for each pleat. And I'm still working on the centerpiece, which is made out of the Dove chocolate squares, different. So and this will continue. We're still working on that. Issue right now is the gentle transition between the bodice and the skirt, trying to close this up so it looks natural. So I have to continue the bodice down, with in mind, how does my model actually get in it to wear it? So the pieces have to come apart as a kit and be built around the model in a very quick way, so that I'm not wasting a lot of time getting ready the day of the show. I'm quite happy with the shape of it. I think the silhouette is pretty nice. It's very rough right now, but I can see where it's going. So far, it seems to be mostly made out of packaging material and these discarded business cards, as I said. And like I said in the first video, these things kind of take on a life of their own as you're building them, because you come across things that you hadn't thought of, and you have to drop ideas and pick up new ones. I'm quite happy with it, but it's been, even though I've done this a few times now, it's still a challenge, and I'm scratching my head, and I was taking a while trying to figure this one out.
Hi there, Trashion Fashion Sonoma. It's getting close to the deadline, and I still have some work to do. I'll make it. It'll be what I'm doing in my free time, if I have the energy, that's for sure. I do like what I've been able to create. I really am in love with the outfit I designed this year. I would wear it as clothing. I think it's quite fashionable, and at least in my opinion, and comfortable. That's always something I'm really big on.
I'm almost completely done with the entire Trashion thing, and I did a peplum treatment with these petals coming down on that. So I have that. Now the main thing that I did differently is these sleeves. I tried various sleeve treatments, and they really did not work out that well and didn't look good on me, because I'm so short. So I decided to skip the sleeve treatments, and I'm now going to work with this stuff to create a couple of different bracelets. I'm going to do one on the lower arm and one on the upper arm, because then I can keep my tattoos out. And I'm also thinking seriously of creating a tiara using the same materials. So if I do those things, I'm really done with the dress. I've got it fitted, it works, everything is done on the dress. So I think those are the only two things I have left to do, is if I do the tiara and the bracelets, and then I'm done.
I got my skirt and top completed, And also I got the hourglass, the clock, and the mask completed also, but I still have a scarf to put in.
So here we are amongst a small portion of our scraps. And these scraps I'm sewing together that are making my bell-bottom leggings. But the scary part is walking into this unknown because I made the shape. I decided on the shape of these pants based on the jacket. And now I'm like, that jacket looks like really striking and interesting against normal jeans and clothes, but I think it would be a little plain against this other stuff. So that means I have to think of what else am I going to do? And so I've got a couple of different tunic tops and dress things that I'm going to try on with the bell bottom and see how it looks and make a pattern out of that. And that's me in the unknown.
I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. I've at least kind of got the top half of me covered with this tank top made out of all these pieced together pieces of t-shirts with the various messages
sharp.
all over them.
It's very cool.
And
I've got the bottom so far, and he's got the top. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So we're between the two of us, we're covered. We just need that little black box to cover up the other half. Hope we'll have time to make accessories. That is the one thing that seems like it might slip by the wayside.
No, we must have a hat. We
Yes,
must have hats.
Must have hats.
Yes.
This is true. Okay.
Yeah, we usually don't sleep much the last week, and I'm already tired. Maybe I'm thinking ahead about how tired I'll be in the last week.
Yes.
Well, I'm in the home stretch. I've made about 80 flowers, and I'm in the process of fusing plastic together and cutting green shapes for leaves. The other thing that's been interesting to figure out in making the leaves is how to fuse plastic together. It seems it goes from melting to not sticking together at all, and that's been a little bit of a challenge. One thing I've learned is that I've run out of the more traditional flower colors, so now I'm making flowers out of kind of the parts of the bags that don't remind you of flowers so much, and I think it's really cool. I kind of like these black and white flowers. I met with my model last week and I learned some important things. I learned that the skirt is not long enough or wide enough. It didn't have quite the right shape. So need to change that. And when I do that, then the hat needs to be bigger to be in proportion to that. So, as luck would have it, I was cleaning out my supply shed and I found some really great old junk that is going to help me out here. I have these plastic rose stems from a project years ago that I had just enough to extend the armature of the skirt down long enough, and I added them around the hat to make it wider. And because they're rose stems, they totally fit in with the theme of my costume. The other thing I found were these funny light branches that I bought a number of years ago. They don't work anymore, but they're gonna be really great to add to the hat to give it volume, and it again works with my theme really well. So another realization I made when I met with my model is that I didn't want to have a lot of writing on the bodice. It wasn't going to be flattering to her, and I don't think people should be reading across somebody's chest like that. So she has lovely fair coloring, so we're going to make the bodice primarily pink. And so what I'm doing is weaving into the deer netting, which I have basted onto the dress. And so the strips just get woven in kind of like a basket. And I think it has a really nice, flattering, pretty effect.
So as you can see, I actually made progress since last time you saw. I actually have a top, well, not quite finished, but top in progress. It's a slightly different design than the bottom, but it's still incorporating all 4 of the different coffee color bags that I used for the skirt as well. Just a different take on it. It's still weaving the bags, but in a different way. And also I made some earrings, 2 different ones. I'm not sure which ones I'm gonna do yet for the runway. At this point, with how much I still have to do before the runway, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to all the accessories or the little add-ons that I was hoping to, but at this point, I would rather have a full, complete look rather than having a half-finished outfit and all these other things done as well. But overall, I really like how it's turning out, because when I started, I really had no idea what I was doing. I had a concept, but how it was going to turn out, it's gone a different direction completely. And I've had a lot of support from coworkers and friends and stuff, and giving suggestions and feedback and ideas, which really helped me along the way as well. You can make wearable functioning art with trash, things that we would throw away all the time, and making it unique. I think that's the other thing, is unique in its own way and functioning too. But I'm trying to manipulate it in the way that I can fool the eye to think that it's not paper.
Over the years of participating in Trashion Show, I've seen it interpreted so many different ways, and it's very inspiring.
And really, the main reason I love doing Trashion is because this is my main design creative outlet.
And I love the challenge of take something that no one wants and make it something someone wants. So how's it going? Very, very slowly. It is, again, I think I've bitten off a little more than I can chew. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it is so very dim. Some of the frustrating aspects have just been how time consuming it is just, again, to make a piece, to strip the wires. And some of the wires on the inside, 20 minutes into stripping them, getting ready to braid them, and then there's like a weird gooey substance, which, sorry, hot rod people, I'm sure you have an answer to that, but it's very frustrating for me on my end. But again, yeah, like 2 hours of making pieces, and I think I got about 10 pieces on the dress. I have had to make a few changes. The dress is going to be a little bit shorter than I anticipated, which is okay. It won't be too short, but it's just going to be a little bit shorter, which will be great because the dress is starting to get very heavy. I still have to finish the neck piece, which is the necklace, and then I have an idea in my head for a headpiece. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to that in time, but I will do my best to do so. I haven't tried the dress on yet. I'm a little scared to just take it off the form at this point. I have left a seam on the side open without the glass, hoping that when I do go down to it, it'll stretch and we'll be able to get into it. I guess I'm just a little daredevil and like to wait till the very last minute because, like a diamond, we're great under pressure. I'm definitely not going to finish earlier than expected. I will definitely need every moment of sunlight or daytime that I can get. My overall impression at this point of my dress is I'm a little underwhelmed. It's not quite yet what I see in my head, but that tends to happen to me when I create. Until you get the hair, the makeup, the outfit on, something about it in the moment really pops and really makes it something that you're proud of. Even if it wasn't your original version of what you saw, it evolved into something that you can be really proud of. And I think that moment will come soon. I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
Okay, well, I think the project is coming along. The design I am happy with. I'm still concerned about time. I was concerned about time when I took the project on, but I'm still concerned about that. There's a lot of details. I have checklists and checklists and checklists about things that I need to do right now, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. I had, these are the third set of arms that the model has worn. I don't have a mannequin with arms, so it's difficult for me to build these arms, but when the model tried these on in one of the rehearsals that we had, the fitting, she had absolutely no movement in her arms. She was very robotic and couldn't do anything, and so I've had to make these out of a totally different material, still in the style of the dress, but they're a lot much more articulate than they were. I got the panels are on the floor there. I'm collaging these panels out of tissue paper, used tissue paper, stuff that I've found, and so that's got quite a ways to go. And I have made this. This is the trim here on the Dove chocolate foil. This trim here is the non-slip rug fabric that I've found. And these are all champagne wires that actually Margaret Hatcher gave to me about 2 years ago that I forgot I had. My business card still, that turned out pretty nice. I'm working on the belt. Front panel, the foil again, and the home shopping bags, as you can see. Trader Joe's stuff going on. So a lot of packing material, but yes, feeling it's pretty good.
We love the Sonoma Trashion Fashion Show, and that it inspires us to take on these big projects, which we wouldn't normally do.
I mean, it's a fundraiser for the community center, which is just an incredible place and space.
And I think Sonoma would be a miss without it.
And I think, even though we may not be taking that much out of the waste stream and making a couple of outfits, it's a great creative, fun opportunity to just think more about upcycling and different ways of reusing things that are already out there.
But another reason is also the community of like-minded people. I will never forget my first Trashion there, and the mistake of Mod Podge, stress and sweat. It was amazingly stressful. But everyone was so supportive and so kind, and every year backstage, it's just where memories and friendships are made. And to find a community of people who think like me, create like me, was really kind of the main thing that bonded me with Trashion, is being in a community of like-minded people.
I think the reason that I keep coming back to do this is because of the other people that are in the show. I like to see their creative ideas and their endeavors and problem solving, going through the same kind of things that I'm going through, using materials that wouldn't normally go together to make these outfits. That's part of my creative process, is just to try and problem solve with all this junk that people are throwing out. It's just a mind expanding endeavor, I think.
I love the community and the community center and all the people that it has brought together. So I'm thankful.
Take care. Enjoy the show. Thank you.
Funny enough, I don't drink coffee. I drink tea.
Hi, it is Brittany for diary number 3, the third and final diary. So my life of hearts for me. One of the things that I had to